Welcome to the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show with Larry Lawson. As a former career law enforcement officer and law enforcement educator, Larry focuses on the use of tried and true law enforcement investigative techniques in conducting paranormal investigations. Despite his experience and training, Larry also keeps an open mind to discussions on topics that deal with evidence that are not quite as physical in nature. Paranormal Stakeout guests are professionals in the field of the paranormal and parapsychology, conducting the investigations and research needed to further the cause of paranormal study. Larry advocates an agenda of standardization of structure and training in the field of paranormal investigation and research for the purpose of one day being able to produce the evidence needed to convince a jury of the existence of the paranormal. Whether it is ghosts, UFOs, unsolved mysteries, hauntings or cryptids, no topic is beyond the investigative reach of Larry Lawson and the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show team. Now, here is the host of the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show, Larry Lawson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout, the place where everything is on the table when it comes to the paranormal. I'm Larry Lawson, your host, and I'm sure glad to be back with you tonight. Want to take a quick second to just let's keep our world in prayer tonight. There's a lot going on, and we're going to be talking about some interesting things tonight. But let's keep focused on what the reality is out there in the world, and say a prayer for all of those in need. If you'd like to know a little bit more about my crew, because we're coming to you from the headquarters of the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation, you can learn more about us there at paranormalfbi.com. You can learn more about Indian River Hauntings, which is my other organization, at IndianRiverHauntings.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Indian River Hauntings 2341. You can email me also at ghostsky@paranormalstakeout.org. If you have questions that you'd like to bring up or have me mention here at the beginning of the show, get a hold of me at that email, and you can always check out all of my shows at paranormalstakeout.org. So, welcome back, everybody. I've got a great guest tonight, and it's interesting because, I enjoy talking about the mind, and I think tonight's topic is going to really fit that bill. MACHIEL KLERK is a social entrepreneur, licensed mental health therapist, international speaker, dream worker, and published author. He has been a mental health therapist since 2006 and currently has an online practice. He's fascinated by healing traditions from about the world. He's earned his master's degree in psychological counseling at Pacifica Graduate Institute. He has traveled all over the world studying many cultures and their healing and dream traditions, and in specific, the African traditions, as South Africa is the country of his birth. He's also a published author, publishing the book Dream Guidance. He's worked all over the world, lectured all over the world, and also has been involved with the Young Platform, which is the Young Society of Utah, which deals with all of his work with dreams. So with that, MACHIEL KLERK, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Larry. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
And it's a pleasure to have you here. Such a resume there. It's hard. You got to get all of it in a quick second, but you've done so much. And obviously, dream work is your passion. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, it's really central to my passion and fascination, and I've studied it from all these traditions, and happy to engage in some conversation around it.
Well, let's talk. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How you ended up going from counseling in the world of psychology into dream work. Share with us how you ended up there.
Well, it really started early on. My dad died when I was 10. And my family, my culture didn't know how to grieve. So I bottled up the grief, and it became a cold territory around my soul. And in my early 20s, I started reading Carl Jung, who gave me some clues on how to be with dreams. And then I really started having a flood of dreams. that helped me, guide me to a sense of purpose, but also reconnected me to my father, who lives further on the other side. And so my life changed radically for the better because I started working with dreams, and I was so grateful to it that I have been hanging on ever since.
What are dreams? It's a kind of maybe a silly question, but I think it really goes to the heart of this. What are dreams?
Yes. Well, let's start with the experience of a dream. When we are in a dream, we experience to be in an environment, in a world, where we actually interact with our environment, with the dream monster or the figure, or we drive in a car. And the other remarkable phenomenon is that actually our mind is awake. We are awake in the dream state. And so there you have three aspects of a dream. You're in a world. It's not a movie you watch. You're interacting, and you actually are awake. You just don't know you're in a dream. Otherwise, you would be lucid. That's to be aware in the dream. So we're in another world, having an experience, and that is what we know about a dream. And then, even if you take it a step further, when we open our eyes in the morning, that world doesn't disappear. It just continues to coexist next to our day-to-day experience, and there remains an ongoing dance between us and the dream world. So we have these daydreams or fantasies. That is just the dream world moving into our day-to-day consciousness. And so the dreams in this world are interconnected. Well,
what you're telling me is that this is not just an event in the mind, something that the mind is conjuring up. You're actually saying it's a parallel universe, a parallel world with what we are dealing with while we're awake. Is that how I'm hearing it?
Yes, it's both present while we're awake as at night, and in the dream, experientially, everyone can check it for themselves. You're in a world, and no matter where you place this world, we feel to be in a world. And then in that dream world, we meet both elements of our personal mind that manifest as symbols, but we can also encounter deceased loved ones, spirit guides, real others, even other dreamers in this world, and we can do all kinds of things in and with that world. But yeah, that's what a dream is.
Einstein discusses in his general theory of relativity of different dimensions that sit parallel to ours. Is this kind of what you're describing also? Is it a different dimension? Because what I guess what is hard to conceive is there's a separate world that we exist in, and that's kind of what I'm hearing. So right. Is this a dimension as Einstein talked about it, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's closer to another dimension. We're right now in a world, and when we go to bed and we fall asleep, we're in another world, and we forget all about the world we're in right now. We're in that other world, having an experience, don't know that we lay in our bed in the town we've always lived or long time lived, and then we wake up and we're here again. But we can move, even in this reality, we can move into the other world, which is coexisting. It's here, but it's not as dense as this world.
Then I'm just going to use myself as an example. I will dream. The dream will be vivid, but I'll wake up, I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But also, if that being the case, when we dream again, why don't we go back to that same world? Why is it different? So 2 questions there. I'll let you choose which one to answer first.
Well, the first one is that our short-term memory doesn't work at night. So that is why we actually forget that we've been in bed for 6, 7, 8 hours. And but the mind is awake all the time. So our mind, the core of our own being is awake in this reality, because now I am awake. But in the dream, that same part that says I am awake is also awake, It's just having an experience in this dream reality, and it forgets about it because neurologically it shows our short-term memory doesn't function. But for some reason, being in touch with the other world seems not to be helpful for our memory. So you have to write down your dream upon waking. And go ahead.
No, I said I've actually thought about doing that, but I can never remember usually what that dream was before I can write it down.
Well,
So
you can change that by simply putting pen and paper next to your bed. Before you go to bed, you say, "Dream, if you come tonight, I will write you down tomorrow." And then you just do it, even if you have a feeling. I feel tight in my stomach. Oh, it felt like I was being chased, or whatever. You write it down, and then the dream comes back.
if I did that,
Yeah.
would I find that my notes tonight will be an extension or a continuation of my notes from the next night that I dreamt? And that's what I was getting at before.
Yeah.
If we're going to a world,
Yeah.
then would we go back to that world, or do we go to a different one?
Yes, dreams are a continuation of our life. It's like the tapestry of life is being woven further in dreams. Dreams are partially a world that is generated by our own beliefs and experiences. So if I have an experience today in which I feel like I'm really needing to do all kinds of things and I feel not adequate, I might have a classic dream tonight in which I'm running through the university looking for my classroom. So dreams pick up usually on the day-to-day activities. And so it moves through what we experience there, and then we're here, and then the dream is more in response to what we experience today again. But people do have dreams in which they visit the same house, the same landscape, meet the same people. So there seems to be also a continuation in dream themes or dream experiences that people have. And there are some people that wake up in a dream and then go to bed and just dream the dream further.
Okay. Do dreams have a meaning? I understand you're saying a separate world, but do they also have a meaning, i.e., dreamings of flying, being able to fly, or the dreams that you're falling and you wake up before you hit? Yeah. Are there meanings to those types of things?
Well, it's a big question. It stretches as far as, is there meaning to this reality? And you can answer it in several ways. But we can look at a dream and extract meaning from it. So we will probably dream about falling if we have somewhat the experience in day-to-day life that we're having a falling experience. Maybe I feel like I'm falling in love, or I feel I fall off the cliff. Then I might dream of falling, and so you can see that the dreams represent emotional states. And so they become kind of psychological X-rays that show what goes really on inside of me. Now, there are more dreams, also precognitive dreams, or dreams in which we meet ancestors. They're not necessarily in the category.
Well, we're going to get into that. Trust me, I'm very anxious to hear more about that. But believe it or not, our first section here is just about over. So, folks, I'm here with MACHIEL KLERK talking about dreams tonight. Stay with us. We'll be back right after these messages. We are back on Paranormal Stakeout. My guest tonight, MACHIEL KLERK, fascinating subject. And I've had some personal experiences that really hit home with me on this entire topic. But I'm a detective by trade, MACHIEL. I like to figure out why some things. So I want to ask you a couple of questions before we delve into some of these other things. Obviously, you're a well-educated, well-learned individual. What do the neurologists or the neuroscientists that study the brain, how do their theories of dreams and how the brain works coincide with your theories and thoughts? And how did you develop these theories, for lack of a better term?
Yeah. Well, the theories are mainly based on my personal experiences, and that leads to them. Initially in neuroscience, the idea was that it was completely random dreams. Then it shifted to it was chaos. And there was a big shift because chaos has an inherent structure in it. It's not random nor meaningless. So the notion is that there is some meaning formation happening in dreams. Other elements that neuroscience says is that dreams are partly used by the brain for memory formation. So you start, and that has been tested as well. If you study for a test, it's better to sleep on it because your brain starts creating a stronger memory, and you will do better on the test the next day than if you cram till the last second. It has to do with emotional digestion of experiences. So there it is helpful. And what neuroscience also has seen is that when people don't dream or don't sleep, they become psychotic. And so sleep and dreams appears to be fundamental for a person's health. And then, of course, my notions of these parallel worlds, they don't truly get reflected in neuroscience, but they can see how perception creates a world, and how actually your perceptive abilities of generating worlds is active in dream, and the neuro and your frontal cortex is active, and that could indicate consciousness or half consciousness in dream.
So you think part of this process is chemical or organic? Am I getting that right?
I think they don't exclude each other. That they're on a spectrum. It can be both a chemical aspect that at the same time has a psychological or spiritual component.
That's the next question. How do you see the spiritual component coming into this? I mean, we've talked about the parallel world. What else is out there? What's causing us to see that other world? What is that other world part of? What is the spiritual connection? And how do you think it connects with the organic workings of our brain? Does that make sense?
Yes, a lot of questions in one.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
The dreaming consciousness is a state of consciousness that is 24/7 present, and we can access that state of consciousness, and we do that actually spontaneously very often. If a person reads a book, on a certain moment, if they're really in the book, they see themselves walk through the jungle in Vietnam, they see the opponent, and they start seeing a world around them. If they also say, where is that world? Well, I actually see the world around me. So that is where imagination comes in and starts generating a world. And that same mechanism happens when we fall asleep. A world is generated, and we experience that world as real and interact in that world. That's how we have these experiences of this coexisting worlds.
Have you had an experience or an epiphany that shows that this isn't just the imagination, maybe, and it is a separate world? How do you know that there's a second world? How do you theorize there's a second world?
Yeah. Well, you can in dream you can in dream meet dream others and ask them questions, and then you see that they either, whether it's an figure that they can tell you things about yourself that you didn't know, or that they can tell you things that you can verify. So I know of people that have met each other in the dream and then did the dream sign, and that was then later verified. Or they would meet deceased Aunt Joanne that told them where they could find something of value in the house where she lived. And so those are very viable events. And dreams can sometimes portray things that happen in the future. Then you can always say that's your intuition, but then, then you place your intuition really inside yourself. Well, you didn't know about it.
Right. I was actually going to ask you about prophetic dreams. This is the first of a bunch of things I'd like to pick your brain about. Prophetic dreams, where the people are seeing the future. How do you perceive that's happening?
Well, I don't know. Have you ever had a prophetic dream, Larry?
Me personally, not that I'm aware of. Okay. Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, people have had prophetic dreams that both are relatively silly, like I dream about that Uncle Joe sends me a letter, and then 2 days later there is the letter, and why would the dream tell me, or things that are about to happen? It appears to be that something in us is moving in a certain direction. So just like the rose seed becomes a rose, on a certain moment the psyche can predict that this seed is going to grow into a rose. So it's not that the future is fixed and the dream can tell you, oh, this is for sure going to happen, but based on the here and now, it can make a very accurate prediction on the near future or on the further future. And I've had dreams, for example, with my grandfather, that I started having a dream that first that I was in a church for a funeral, and in the coffin there was my grandfather. Then a couple of months later, a hearse came to the house, and I had to help my grandfather into the hearse. And then again, a couple of months later, my grandfather died. And I think those were dreams that were anticipating, predicting the death of my grandfather.
You know, and I just did a presentation today, and the folks that I talked to, I told them there's so many things that are out there that we can't explain that keep happening. And that's certainly one of them. I know there's one gentleman, I believe it was Richard Sennett, had told me a story once about how he was involved in a case where he talked to a person that remembered this house, and finally she kept driving by and driving by and driving by. She's finally stopped, and she knocked on the door because she remembered that house. Knocked on the door, and the people that answered it recognized her from their dreams, I believe is how it went.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how do those things happen, especially when it comes from folks that you trust? So I've had dreams of my father that are so real, and I'll be honest with you, at the time I passed them off as just the memory, the emotional and the memory. And that's kind of what I was driving at before. Where does the chemical, the organic part of this come in? Because they were real. One was at my house as I was growing up, which I could easily pass off as just memory. The second one wasn't that way. It was him in a different spot, but him talking to me about everything's all right. Kind of put it, and that dream has always stuck with me, and I've always wondered what the connection was.
Well, that is a relatively common phenomena. So dreams could, of course, portray deceased people or loved ones as symbols. So I would ask, what do you associate to your father? Oh, he was this disciplined man that could speak up. And then maybe that quality shows up. Other dreams have a different feeling tone to them, and people, those are more visitation dreams, where people really have the sense this very well could be that, and then the content, like you described, is very often that they come and they have some sense of a message that I'm okay, it's okay here. I love you. I care about you. Please live your life on Earth. And that's a relatively common experience for people to have. And of course it begs the question: is this really a visitation or not? And it's hard to say scientifically. And once in a while, and one of these ancestors says something that can be verified, like, please tell your sister so and so, and or your sister is has a disease, or your sister is pregnant, or the key to so and so is there in the house.
Exactly. It's almost as if a medium is sending you a message from the other side. So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
How do dreams connect if there's another side? If there's a spirit world where our loved ones have gone to after their death, how does that all connect with the dreams?
It seems that the land of the dead is a other manifestation of another world, and that these worlds are not really as separate. So the land of the dead and the dream world and this world are maybe all coexisting at a continuum, maybe like vibration, and that the land of the death is a higher vibration, the land of dreams, and this is just very dense. And so in certain ways, we can move up and down, and they can move up and down. That's an explanation of why this could happen.
And we're getting close to our next break again, but when we come back, and I want you to kind of chew on this one a little bit, I want to talk about the possibility of a collective consciousness and how all this might come together to form the dreams or form these dimensions. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that in just a few minutes, because fascinating subject that I just don't think we have all the answers to yet. So stay with us, folks. We're about ready to take our next break. When we get back, we're going to talk about the collective consciousness and its association with dreams. So stay with us. We'll be back after these messages. And we're back on Paranormal Stakeout with my guest tonight, MACHIEL KLERK. Looking for Mike. MACHIEL, is he still with us? I do not see him. MACHIEL, are you with us? Well, maybe the dream world took him away again. Hopefully we'll work to get him back in just a couple of seconds. Oh, there he is right there. Okay, had me worried. I thought maybe you went into the dream world or something.
Staying with you, Larry.
Okay, we're back, and we were talking about the collective conscious. This is a topic I've talked to many folks on the show about, as to, how when spirits leave here, where they go, do they recycle? And a common theme has been there's just one giant, for lack of a better term, the way I visualize it, is a ball out there, which is where everything is. Your thoughts, your feelings on that, and if you do agree with that, or you do look at things that way, how does the dream world connect there? Good question. Or
yeah, it's you could say that there's just one, that everything is just of one substance, and then in this substance there are different modifications of that substance, and then everything is in itself interconnected, and there's no separation. And so then the dream world and the land of the dead and near-death experiences are all happening within this one, I call it substance for lack of a better word.
Okay.
And they're all happening in that one substance, and we can experience all these things, and our perceptions and thoughts and emotions, they localize in time and space our unique experience within, but it's in itself we have just an experience that generates time, but even that substance doesn't truly take place in time.
Right. Well, if these questions were easy, somebody would have come up with the answers a long time ago. So
Yeah.
you talk. I know you talk a little bit about spirit guides.
Yeah.
How do spirit guides assist? How do they get to us through do they use our dreams to contact us? How do spirit guides help us? And how do they connect?
They seem to live in the world of dream. I was once in a dream, and I became lucid. I realized that I was in a dream, and then I thought, oh, let me yell out, is there anyone with a message for me? And then I see my youth hero, Johan Cruyff, a soccer player, fly to me. And he comes to me and says, come, I'm going to show you something. So we fly together. And then in the distance below, there's a crossing. And he says, now I'm going to teach you how to cross a crossing. And I in the dream, I think, oh, that sounds a bit boring. I had expected something more interesting. But he says, you just have to go. You go. And when you get anxious, you stop. But you don't go back. And then when you're not anxious anymore, you go further. And as long till you get to the other side. I wrote down the dream, couldn't immediately make something from it. And then later that day, I realized I'm at a cross point in my life. I wanted to jump from the clinic I worked to the private practice. But it was a financial risk, and will people come, and will they appreciate what I do? So I was hesitant. And then I saw, this dream figure, a guiding figure in the dream, did teach me how to cross this crossing. Go, just don't go back. Don't cave into your fear and jump back to the clinic. Stay where you are, be okay with being anxious, and then go on. And so I did that. And when I was anxious, like, will people call, etc., I would remember that, and I made it to the other side.
Interesting. People are so profoundly affected by their dreams at times. How do we seek this guidance and get this guidance through our dreams? What are there steps? Yeah. Is there a method, a process?
Yeah, there's several ways people can do this. It really starts with writing down the dreams, because spontaneously dreams come to people with help and guidance. Paul McCartney got the song Yesterday in a Dream. Stephen King writes parts of his book based on his dreams. The largest oil field in Kuwait has been discovered because someone had a dream on where to drill. So dreams proactively help people with any aspect that's relevant to their life. And so that is one. It happens spontaneously, and you have to write it down. Because when we write it down, we also signal back to the dream, I'm interested. If you come, I will write you down. And then step 2 is, once you do that, you can start talking to the dream. You can say, well, dream, I listened to Larry and MACHIEL today. It was a bit weird, but I'm willing to test this hypothesis. And then you say, dream, what is one way for me to love myself more deeply? Or what's one type of food that is good for me to eat? Or ask something that is really emotionally important to you. You could even be with a case. You're as a detective. What should I know about this case? And if it's really emotionally important to you, it will the dream will very often help you a step further. They even did some research at Harvard University around this. And they saw that 2/3 of the people that did this got a dream that was helpful, and 1/3 didn't. And then they looked at what might cause the difference, and they saw that the people that asked a question of medical nature or emotional relevance, they got a helpful dream. So that's one way that people can nurture this, and even can test this tonight. You don't have to believe in it. Just be open, ask a question that's relevant, and see what happens.
It almost sounds like you're praying.
Yeah.
What you described would almost be like, Lord, give me some guidance in this area.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very much. The old notion of knock and you shall be opened, and the Father gives good gifts to those that ask. And it's in the same line, and with the notification that the dream is not a wish-fulfilling genie. If I ask, what did my neighbor have for dinner? How can I get a Ferrari? It's not likely that the dream will respond to that. But if I ask a question that's relevant to my life, what's going on with me? Why am I so upset with my partner? How can I grow my business and serve other people? Just like in a good prayer, It's better to pray for
goodness.
for goodness.
And not selfish things. Okay. Do you interpret dreams also? Is that part of what you?
Yeah.
What does, and I mean, we've all kind of going to take this a little bit lighter now. We've all had some crazy dreams. Flying.
Yes.
Is there a meaning to that?
It depends also a little bit on how people fly. Are they flying like Superman through the air? Are they in a plane? That makes a difference. But you would also often ask, what is the experience? Oh, I was flying and I felt so free. Oh, what might that be about? Sometimes it is people are bogged down, and then at night they have a different experience of a different state of consciousness that's way more free, and then they can take that freedom into their day-to-day life and feel a little bit more free and have a different experience. So it's sometimes just almost dream alchemy. You take your experience of freedom back here. Other times people fly way too high, and then it might indicate that they're like Icarus, a little bit flying too close to the sun. They're slightly inflated and they have to come down. So there's not one answer, but you would look a little bit at the experience and the context.
So would this be almost like the spirit guides trying to give you a hint to change? Would that be a way to look at this?
Yeah, it would be kind of a psychological X-ray showing that you're too high, or indeed giving you something that sometimes I've seen with people that are depressed, and then at once they fly in the dream, and it is light and it is delicious, and then they can take some of that experience and infuse that into the excessive denseness of their day-to-day life, so that it's almost like you put two fluids together and then some new substance comes out of it. And that's another way that dreams can help with psychological transformation.
Yeah, I won't tell you some of the dreams I've had because this is a family show. But all kidding aside, I mean, I remember having dreams when I was younger. I would be going to school and I'd be in my pajamas.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy things like that. And, you've always passed that off as just maybe you ate something silly before you went to bed or.
But it's not an uncommon dream. And when we're not appropriately dressed in public, it's very often that we're somehow not well prepared in our social engagement. Sometimes people find themselves half naked in public or fully naked, so they're way too exposed, or they feel very vulnerable being in public.
And your theory is this isn't so much your mind just trying to straighten you out. This is truly the other side giving you hints.
Yeah, it's something, or even something in your mind that is not I. So whether it's the other side or it's a non-self with you in it that helps you further. So I do believe there's a guiding principle in life that guides and support, and it does that in these ways.
Do you ever see science coming in line with these more spiritual theories? And if you do, how do you think that how do you think the two sides will come together?
Well, I think that science starts there's a lot of science that starts getting close to lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is scientifically verified, and there it helps see how is perception generated. And we see just in the dream how you perceive to be in a world that doesn't have any material basis to it. And actually the same form of perception is also laid over this world. So what we perceive is really generated in ourselves, is painted over this world. So that is more where the science comes. And
you talk about how to work a dream and how to create a kind of a 5-step method. for effectively getting guidance, and you've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
What do people need to? What do you think people need to do to take this seriously, to take these dreams seriously? I mean, for years, you have dreams, and a lot of people just blow them off. I frankly did until I had these dreams about my father that were so vivid and so real. How should people learn to take the guidance realistically?
Well, I think what you point out is until we have our own experience of that this is helpful, it remains a nice story, and you can take it or leave it. But once you see that that dreams are really practical and supportive and can help you in relationships, find a partner. I've started a company based on a dream. Then and you notice that then things change. So people that are somewhat skeptical, or anyone could start tonight and just do that 5-step process. And one is take a question, ask a question that is emotionally relevant to you. So just ask yourself what wants to be asked. And it's like, oh, am I in the right relationship? Ooh, that's a scary question. Or how can I grow my business and serve others? Or what's one thing I can do to love myself? Ask something, write it down, create a little ritual, prayer, light a candle, make a drawing, go to bed, meditate on it. So step 4, sleep. And then in the morning, write down the dream, even if you think it has nothing to do with your question, and then work it a little. Half of the dreams are pretty clear. The other half, you initially say, has nothing to do with my dream. Then come back later the day or read it to your partner, and your partner might say something, and then you think, oh my gosh, yeah, now it makes sense. And once you see, oh, this makes sense, and I didn't know this, and this is really helpful, then people connect to a sense of guidance in their dream. And then they have a tool they can apply whenever they feel stuck or they want to have some guidance. And that can be helpful. But yeah, own experience.
That makes sense. And unfortunately for me, I try to connect everything, Michael, with some sort of tangible result that I could put my fingers on. It's the cop in me. I collect evidence. So sometimes it's hard for me to grasp that. I'm going to tell you something that I really haven't told anybody, but over the last several years, I have gone to bed at night and purposely have talked about, I want to have an experience or dream about this an issue, an item, whether it be wanting my dad to come back or some other event. I won't go into a whole lot of details there, but I've actually asked or gone to sleep with the thought of, I want to go there.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever occurred. Nothing that's never been successful.
So the first part is in place. You ask a question about something that's relevant. And what this is a technique that's been done throughout the world in all kinds of cultures. And the common thread is that people engage in some form of a ritual. Now, a ritual is just another word for put in some time, focus, attention, work it, so that something in you or the other side knows, oh, Larry is serious about it. So you write down your question and make the question simple, one question at a time. Please dream, show me something I need to know about this situation. And then maybe you make a little drawing and you light a candle and you do a prayer or you do a meditation. And that together, that generates very often in a dream. And if it doesn't come on night 1, you just do it again or a third night. And then write it down and work it. And that is actually the helpful, that is what across the world seems to help people get a dream that's helpful.
Going back to science for just a quick second, do you think that science will ever be able to come up with an answer as to why this occurs? Do you think there'll ever be a tangible scientific explanation as to how this occurs?
Which
Okay.
which parts of this? The dream occurs, or why?
Dream. Why the dream and what the dreams are telling us? Will we ever be able to put the two pieces of the puzzle together, do you think?
No, because at the fundamental level, it comes to a deep worldview, and science. I don't think that science ever will be able to say God exists, or
Yeah.
another and
Okay.
life after life exists, because there will always be some explanation for any phenomenon. So that is why science also will not be able to truly say, why do we dream? What is the purpose of dreaming? They can say memory formation, and you need it for your brain to refresh itself, but not beyond that. I think that comes more from our own experience.
Gotcha. Well, getting on to light, you're an author. You've written a book. It is Dream Guidance: Connecting to the Soul Through Dream Incubation.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, in the book, I really describe this old technique of dream incubation, which is another word for asking the dream for guidance for any issue in your life: vocation, relationship, health, creativity, or just fun. And I describe this 5-step process of how you really can do it, and make it very practical with examples. And that is, in a nutshell, what the book is about. And it provides people with a skill, a tool, and a perspective to do this for themselves, whether they do it once a week, once a year, when they're stuck. And that's dream guidance.
Now, you've traveled all over the world. You've obviously studied many cultures, specifically African cultures involving dreams.
Yeah.
Is the book a culmination of the studies of the work you've done with these other cultures?
Yeah, I deeply draw from my experience in these other cultures, and I was born in South Africa, and that's why I went back to South Africa and worked with the local healers, and also their view of dreaming is very similar to my innate experience, and so it was easy to merge those my experience and their experience, and improve on my insights that way.
Well, I find your theories and your thoughts extremely fascinating. Your work with counseling, I'm sure, has been a huge help with this and helping others deal with their issues. How can people get a hold of you?
The easiest is that my name, MACHIEL KLERK. I think people can see it in the screen. MACHIELKLERK.com. Then you go to my website, and you can see that I'm a psychotherapist. And if you're interested that way, or go to the Jung platform, JUNG platform. And there are many courses on Jungian psychology, but especially dreams, and in all kinds of dream work, from African to Tibetan to Western dream work, as ways of finding meaning and purpose in one's life.
Excellent. And if you'd like to know more about MACHIEL, you can get him at www.machielklerk.com and jungplatform.com are two ways to get a hold of him. Check his book out. I do want to make a comment here to remind everybody to check out my websites at paranormalfbi.com and indianriverhauntings.com to find out what we're up to. Check us out also on YouTube at Indian River Hauntings 2341. Check out the website here at the X Zone at paranormalstakeout.org. And I also want to remind everybody, check out some of the great program we got on the program at xzbn.net or xzoneradiotv.com to hear all of the absolutely excellent radio shows out there. MACHIEL, if you had to leave us today with a thought. Everybody has dreams. We really haven't even had time to even scratch the surface on all the types of dreams and what they mean. But if you had to take a moment to share with my audience how they should handle their dreams, what should they do with their dreams, what could their dreams accomplish for them? What would you tell our folks?
Well, dreams really have as the aim the realization of our own being. Just like the rose seed becomes a rose, the human is filled with qualities, talents, and wounds that manifest themselves in life. And dreams help us with the realization of dealing with our wounds and the realization of our talents. And we can proactively engage with the dream by asking a question, and also take into account that the dream has the tendency to talk in metaphors and in symbols. So if you work with your dream and you see a person in your dream, you could ask the question, what do I associate to this person? Oh, that's neighbor Jack. Who is neighbor Jack? Oh, neighbor Jack is nosy, or neighbor Jack is really jealous. Jealousy takes on the form and shape of neighbor Jack and comes into my dream. What is jealousy doing here? So you have a symbolic approach towards the dream figures. And for objects, people can ask the question, what is the function of? What is the function of car? Oh, the car brings me from A to B, moves me through life. Oh, I'm moving through life, and I can't slam, and when I push on the brakes, nothing happens. I can't stop. Oh, do I get this? Do I know this feeling, moving through life, and I feel I cannot stop? And then see where in life do you recognize this, and then you become more familiar. So that is one really simple way of also working with one's dreams, and then you'll see that they represent where you are in the territory of life, and start giving you also clues on how to move further in the most optimal way.
Excellent answer. And once again, I think dreams are one of those things that can open doors for us to not only see the other side, but maybe even make ourselves better. With that, Michael, I really appreciate you joining us tonight. It's been a fascinating conversation. And once again, folks, you can get a hold of him at MACHIELKLERK.com or youngplatform.com. And appreciate you being with us tonight. Once again, as I always say, keep your family close, hug the kids, take good care of yourselves. Until we meet again, see you on the other side. Have a great night, folks.